Nick Vanderlane here. It is March 20th, 2019. This is the day of the spring equinox, or the day of the great sign. Jubilees 2 verse 9, and Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, and for Sabbaths, and for months, and for feasts, and for years, and for Sabbath of years, and for jubilees, and for all seasons of the years. And that sign on the earth is the shadow that the sun casts using a sundial device to read the days. So this is how the calendar is calibrated. I'm here in Jerusalem, Teddy Park, outside Jaffa Gate, right over here. We got the western walls of the old city of Jerusalem, which was the Ottoman Empire. We're here at the sundial, and we're back here again. It's about 11:44 right now. Solar noon is at about 11:46, and then spring equinox Jerusalem time is going to be tonight 23:58, and 10 minutes before it's going to be midnight. Midnight is going to be at about 11:48 p.m. So we're here watching, or 11:46 p.m. We're here watching. I got my kids here with me, and I took a screenshot of the angle of the. Hey Jackie, will you please put on the, let me get the, I'll get it, maybe we can get a reading here on the angle. Last year we were here, we went live, but this year we wanted to get a better quality of the video footage. So, what time do you have? So it's 11:45, almost, oops. Okay. So it's about 11:45, and as you can see, it's dead center. Here's a screenshot side by side of the 2018 spring equinox on March 20th, 2018 that I took in Jerusalem last year. And notice how they are very similar. This was more of a bird's eye angle than this, but still the similarities. This would confirm it. Now this device is huge, copper and granite, and there'll be a description or a link to the artist / timepiece maker that did this, so you can see the math behind how they set this up. The spotlight, it's starting to move this way, so we just had the equinox reading at solar noon. And again, just so you can see the abominations here in Jerusalem, we have a black box, and as you look through this hole here, you can see that Baal's shaft, and I'll walk you through it, how they have an obelisk hidden right here. As you go up through here, that hole, as it comes through here, and you bring it through, and there is Baal's shaft right here, the wickedness of Jerusalem, the paganry. Now, we had a perfect reading on the spring equinox. So tomorrow would start the first day of the first month, March 21st, 2019. And that would start the whole cycle again. Okay, I want to come back to some of the data that I mentioned regarding sunsets, midnight, that I mentioned earlier in the video. Here first I want to show you and prove out midnight. So sunset on March 20th here in Jerusalem at 5:50 p.m. Okay, the sun rose on March 21st in Jerusalem at 5:42 a.m. This means that midnight occurred at 11:46 p.m. I want to draw your attention here to the bottom that the spring equinox occurred on March 20th at 11:58 p.m. or 23:58. That means that the spring equinox happened 12 minutes after midnight. Now, that means that the spring equinox is basically in the middle between the solar noon of both March 20th and March 21st, because they happened both at 11:46 a.m. on both days, solar noon. That means that the readings at solar noon should almost be identical on March 20th and 21st, 2019. So the sundial readings at solar noon on these dates should almost be identical, because how close the equinox happened to midnight, which was right here in between. So here's another chart. I'll try to explain it also using this chart. Sunset was at 5:50 p.m. on March 20th. Sunrise on March 21st was at 5:42 a.m. This means that midnight occurred halfway between here at 11:46 p.m. The spring equinox was at 11:58 p.m. on March 20th. This day was the day of the spring equinox on March 20th when we did our reading. This was the 365th day of the solar cycle. The day before was the 364th day, the final day of the year. This is the last day of the solar cycle when the spring equinox occurs. There's a difference between solar cycle and year. Okay, it's not a solar year, it's a solar cycle. The biblical year is always 364. So what you have here is the readings, because these readings are, this is so close to midnight, the spring equinox is so close to midnight, the readings on March 20th and March 21st on their respective solar noons should almost be identical. So I actually went out to Jerusalem today on March 21st and I did a second reading. And here's the video for the second reading. It was just a quick reading just to show and to compare. March 21st, 2019, back at the Jerusalem sundial, the first day of the first month on Enoch's calendar.
Right in the middle, and it's going to continue until the
So here's the spring equinox reading from the day before. I had to rotate it. I wasn't able to get here because Leland had his setup going on. I talk about Leland Jones's calendar at the end of this video. But this is a rotated screenshot. It was on March 20th, 2019, and then here is the March 21st, 2019. It's a little bit coming in. This is where the summer solstice would be. So these two images side by side kind of prove out my theory that they would be, because the spring equinox was halfway between solar noons on each day, practically in between, that these readings would almost be identical, which they are. As you can see, this one right here is a little bit closer again to the summer solstice. So the spotlight is moving towards the summer solstice. So this, I believe, confirms. Well, we already have the confirmation. We did 364th day was March 19th at sunrise to March 20th at sunrise. And that means that March 20th sunrise to March 21st was the spring equinox. The spring equinox happened at very close to midnight on March 20th. And again, this is the reading of March 21st at solar noon. This is the reading of March 20th at solar noon. And considering that the spring equinox was happened almost halfway between the different these different times, this proves out the spring equinox was correct, March 20th, 2019, and today is the first day of the first month. Now, the 2019 Zadok Priest Dead Sea Scroll Enoch Solar Calendar, I have it available in my Biblical Anniversary spreadsheet. I'm going to put that link in the description. I'm going to be making a new calendar video basically with the release to the 2019 calendar, or I might just be updating the old 2018 calendar that we had previously for the year. I'm going to be trying to add in all of the biblical anniversaries for the days so you guys can track along with us what's going on. So I think there is a way to import the biblical anniversary spreadsheet into your Google Calendar or iCalendar, so I'll be trying to make a video on that. I'm also going to be making a Enoch Calendar 101 Basics video going over the basic fundamentals to this calendar as well. It's very simplified compared to how complex some people might make it. And then lastly, I'm going to be exposing some false calendars. Since I'm on topic of Leland Jones here, I want to go on record. As you guys know, in the past, I've endorsed some of his work. I thought he's done great work identifying what is now Temple Mount as the real Fortress Antonia. He's done a superb job doing that. Also, he's had some good work that can be built off of getting an idea of the true location of the temple. But his site that he has now, I disagree with, but I think it can be built off of. but he's not even 100% on that, I don't believe. But regarding his calendar, I reached out to him over a year ago on YouTube, but he didn't want to hear it. He was very defensive regarding the way that his calendar is set up, as calibrated. Here is his calendar right here. And as you can see, 2018, he had his calendar end on the 31st day of the 12th month, ended on, here's March 12th. And that's already like 7 days or 8 days before the equinox. So what has happened is he's experienced what's called day slippage, where he has a 364-day only calendar, but he doesn't understand that there's a difference between the calendar and the solar cycle. And the solar cycle, as we all know, is 365.25. So he was losing a day every year, and then every 4 years, on the 4th year, he would lose 2 days. So he would lose five days every 4 years, and it kind of adds up with where he's at as far as how long he's been keeping this calendar. So this year, in one of his videos, he said, I tried to reach out to him regarding this because I knew the year was coming up, but he didn't respond to any of my emails or my text messages to him regarding this. And then we met at Jerusalem yesterday on March 20th, and we had a discussion. And, you know, in one of his recent videos, he said that he found the leap week in the book of Daniel. And I said, you know what? I don't think so. If there was supposed to be a leap week added, 7 days or 8 days, because his calendar is almost 8 days behind, I think possibly it's definitely 7. If there was a reason to add a leap week, those directions would be found in the book of Enoch. Clearly, they're not in there, and I don't like what he's doing as far as trying to find a reason to justify or to reconcile his calendar. Now, his calendar this year, it looks like it's a 1 day off, but it doesn't matter if he does the same practices, it's gonna fall behind, and he's been giving the wrong calendar dates. Now, I want to go on record on my calendar. This is my best understanding. I believe it fits with all scripture. I believe it fits with all logic. Other people are coming around. Actually, today, Lee from Jerry Morris's channel over there, they discovered they had the equinox sighting yesterday on the 365th day. So that is the day of the sun, or the day of the great sign, as I mentioned earlier here. So look, I'm not here to judge people's calendars or whatever. We're all trying to do our best. But I do have a problem where people don't want to take constructive criticism, and then they want to go out and dig into scriptures and try to pull a rabbit out of the hat to try to apply it to justify their calendar. Now, you might be saying, well, Nick, you're justifying your 365th day with the day of Job's birth that he cursed and had removed from the calendar. No, I already believe that this looks like it is an explanation for it, but just through natural observation of a 365-day year, or 0.25 day year, you know, there's a difference between a solar calendar and a solar cycle. Yes, the calendar is a solar calendar, but it's not a solar cycle. Okay? So with that being said, hopefully I clarified some things.